Yo, 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 welcome everybody to the 509 Divine Pines podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Daniel Pena. It is March 10th, 2025, and I hope you guys are having a blast. Man, this year keeps getting better. My body keeps on getting sharper. My mind keeps on coming to more of a peaceful state, and my dreams are amazing. Life has definitely turned to the greater good. Uh, I've actually cleared a lot of my debts this year, and so this summer should be real good. Like my credit going up, everything feeling awesome, feeling amazing. Man, haven't you guys been noticing that there's a huge change? Like the people who want to live a bad life just keep on getting worse. The people who want to live a good life seem to be getting a whole lot better, and it's all in our mind, it's all in our spirit, it's all up to us. you know we manifest reality when we pray, when we think about it, when we make plans, when we create goals, and when we actually accomplish them. See, a lot of people don't have goals, so they don't accomplish anything, so they don't move, they don't got motion. But in order to really have motion, you got to have a goal, a destination, you got to have value, you got to have substance, got to have an idea of what you want in life and how you're going to accomplish it. And when you start doing that, you start creating all the little puzzle pieces, put them together, and boom, the puzzle gets made. And you become a true creator of your own life. You don't allow reality to make you if you make reality yourself, right? Like, have you ever heard that term? If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. That comes in all ways with the gym, with our spirituality, with our food, with our friends, with what we watch and consume and listen to, right? If you're just gonna allow these, let's just say, hip hop celebrities, right, who are like really promoting some sinful stuff, but you don't stand up for it, like you'll fall for anything, and then you realize these dudes are like Diddy. No, thank you, I'm cool. You know what I mean? If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Like, the food. Like, haven't you guys heard like McDonald's like poisons people, like makes people feel sick, and sometimes I think it was even last month where people were even dying because of some recalls at McDonald's, and people were still dying. Um, if you don't stand for something with quality, then you'll fall for anything. You'll just be fed whatever, right? It's like that with life. Like today, I hit the gym and I didn't even want to. Like it was like 6 p.m. and I was just thinking, I was like, man, do I really want to do this? And then I'm like, well, if I keep on saying this, if I keep on putting it off, I'm never gonna do it, and then it's gonna keep on cycling. Like you have to stand for something, and that's what I do, and I hope you guys do that yourself for everything in life to create some real value and motion. And I'm accomplishing a lot. I'm glowing, like, man. It seems like my life has been on a constant rise, and you see other people out there, they're in a constant low. Well, it's because they're not putting that manifestation, and they're not putting that work in, they're not putting that true heart and mind, body and soul motion. You know what I mean? They're not creating value. But hey, here at the 509 Divine Pines podcast, we create value for value. So man, like, subscribe, and share if you guys think that this is the best place to be, because I think this is the best place to be. you know yes, I truly do. If you guys could, go ahead, check out all the links below. There is my website, 509divine.pines.net, for merchandise, clothing, and more. Eventually, it'll be popping with all sorts of stuff. It's just brand new. So, hey, give it some time and it'll be all good for you. There'll be something for everyone. If you guys could also go ahead, check out all my socials, Instagram, Facebook. You know, you can hit me up almost on any social media. So go ahead, do it. Add me, interact with me, send me content. Because I love that. If you guys send me content on what you guys think might be cool, or what you guys are trying to understand, like, hey, you know, um, I do heavy research. So if the more that we share with each other, the better our vision gets of our idea and what we're thinking about and how we can connect the dots. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and start connecting some dots right here, man. Um, let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. So, have you ever heard all movies are connected? Yeah, I I know I have, but I think it goes deeper than that, right? I think it goes much deeper than that. Let's go ahead and check this out. This is just a clip that Ignacio Montalvo had created on Vimeo, and it says all movies are connected. A supercut that weaves together scenes from iconic films that highlights the universal connections in a cinematic storytelling. And there's a whole bunch of films. Now, this isn't a like plot type of connected together where it's like they're they're showing some grandmaster plot exactly on like like who killed JFK or like end of the world type stuff. No, like this is just understanding that from a cinematic experience, you can definitely see that there's overlapping themes, stories, and it's not just with Disney and Pixar and Marvel and DC and all of those where they say, "Oh, our universes are connected." Like this is real life. You know, there's um there's a lot of producers and movie directors out there who will like say, yeah, like secretly there's a lot of connection between movies. If you put them together, you can see it out for a bigger picture. Let's go ahead and watch this.
That's the window that Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman looked out of in Casablanca.
Is the whole world crumbling? We picked this time to fall in love.
Yeah, it's pretty bad timing.
Now, let's go ahead and get into a little bit more. You see, when we look at art, whether it's pictures or whether it's comic books or movies, you can see that inspiration is drawn from each other. Like they looked at an artist and like, you know what, I like what he's doing, so I'm gonna do that in my stuff. Um, we're gonna keep going forward with this, right? So there's another video here on my Twitter. I'm not gonna play it, but Pixar released a video that proves all their movies are connected. You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's see if I can play it real fast. If it's long, oh, it's deleted, so we're not gonna go ahead and play it. You guys can find it, and I'm pretty sure it's all over YouTube. Now, next, James Gunn says the DC universe is a connected universe. We're world building, not story building. We're not writing one story. it's much more like Star Wars than Marvel in that respect. So it's just one huge universe, and that was a quick little jab at Marvel, but wow, lame. I mean, it's pretty cool though. Like the whole like idea that every movie, comic book, and anime, not every, but most of them are connected, right? That's super dope. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm glad that you guys are here, man. Hey, I've been helping people evolve over the last few years with this podcast, and everyone who's been watching has been getting richer, happier, smarter, and healthier, helping people break out of addictions. You know what? That's what we got to do here, man. See, people are like cracked out on that low life vibe out there in society, but hey, out here, we're going to go ahead and bring people up. See, next, Hidaki Kamiya says Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, Okami, Beautiful Joe, The Wonderful 101 are all the same universe. So it's not just the movies, it's the video games too, where they incorporate things. Because, like, you look at things like God of War or Prince of Persia or Assassin's Creed, and they have like some real crazy story involvement with real life. It's like, this is way more connected than we originally thought. There is some articles showing how the Biden administration actually ordered it from the White House and his Biden administration to kill off some of the chickens, which is why we're seeing the egg prices rise. Kind of sad, right? Whatever. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and show this video. Sleep deprivation damages your brain literally.
Sleep deprivation is literally brain damage. A study in young participants showed that one night of bad sleep increased levels of this protein called S100B by 20%, the same level as caused by a traumatic brain injury. Now, what happens is it enters the bloodstream, it leads to toxicity, which can lead to neuronal death. So how do we stop this from happening? Get high quality sleep. You are a professional sleeper. Bedtime is the most important appointment of the day. Be on time and respect yourself. Sleep deprivation is literally brain damage.
Now what's crazy is that I believe that's the dude who is doing all that crazy research on anti-aging. So he's actually pretty smart, but people have a whole bunch of problems with him because of how far he took it. That's the dude who was implanting his son's blood for youth, and it's crazy, yeah. Besides that part, he's actually pretty cool, smart with like the supplements and stuff. See, like, even if we don't agree with people 100%, doesn't mean that the other 90% of them is telling something that's valuable. You know what I mean? Like I mentioned in the start of this podcast, value for value. If you don't create value, you're not going to find value in anything. But if you're constantly creating value, you're going to see value in other things. Hey, man, it's just the way nature works. Smarter people get smarter, dumber people get dumber, but please don't get dumber, just get smarter. Next up, there is you can tell it's super super whack. Khloe Kardashian brought on none other than Mr. What's his name? This guy, Stephen Greer. So it's
Everyone
pretty
knows.
sad.
I'm
Let's
assuming
do
everyone
this
knows
15-second clip.
the UFO crash, Roswell, 1947.
47, yes, and there were 3 that went down. Actually, I've talked to before they passed away. In the mid '90s, I talked to 3.
So the interview is real, but this is an AI edit to make him have dreads and make him look all pimped out. Thanks, Tupacabra. This shit's hilarious. Yo, so the interview I didn't watch it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna watch it. It seems like mainstream type of BS. What's crazy about Stephen Greer is that every year he has like a close friend of his die, and like he's over there at Joshua Tree, California, like doing rituals and summoning things, and pretty wild. And I'm not even gonna lie. So Aqua Horizon says he's gonna eat Burger King and then record his diarrhea noises. That's hilarious. Yeah, let's check this out. Keep on going. Directly from California Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, if new bill AB 1333 is passed, you will not be able to legally protect yourself. If a criminal attacks you or your family and you defend yourself and that criminal dies, you will be charged. So here, check this out from the local sheriff himself.
Hello, California. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. For more than a decade, the leadership in Sacramento has literally tied the hands of law enforcement and made it almost impossible for us to protect you. Now, they are coming after you and your ability to protect yourself. Under a new bill, AB 1333, by California Assembly Member from Santa Monica, Rick Chavez Spur, you will no longer be allowed to protect yourself when confronted by violent criminals. Under this bill, if a criminal attacks you or your family and you defend yourself, and that criminal dies as a result of his criminal behavior, you could be arrested and charged with murder. Now, let me make this very, very clear. You have a constitutional and a God-given right to protect yourself. You actually have that right under California law. But our California Democrat leadership and Assemblymember Spur say, no, you don't. It is time we stand up to this insanity in Sacramento. I am asking all of you to contact your local elected officials in Sacramento and tell them that this bill needs to be removed from the assembly floor. Contact Assemblymember Spur's office and demand this bill be removed. Californians deserve far better than what we are getting from our Democrat leadership and our assembly members and senators in Sacramento. We demand better. We deserve better.
Now, isn't that crazy how everyone now is like suddenly so ignorant they don't want to stand up for what's right? They're like, well, criminals can do anything they want. Like, what? No, they can't, bro. Like, stand up for yourself. Like, it's weird, all these weaklings. But hey, we're gonna keep going forward. RFK talks about leaky brain, Wi-Fi opening up the blood-brain barrier. See, I actually learned this in the military, years and years ago. Pretty much the electromagnetic frequencies, the radiational frequencies, and the things that are in our phone, the EMFs, and what's in the towers and the 5G and all that, they're so strong. I mean, people know this. It'll damage trees and it'll damage crops and it'll damage what's around it over an extended period of time. Like, it'll just make things seem weird, right? If you leave your phone on your forehead for too long, you'll notice it. You'll get a huge ass headache. You know, there's a whole bunch of proof, right? People have known these things for years. Well, it goes deeper where on a cellular level, these frequencies, if they get too powerful, they can actually open up the cellular walls and get inside of like your body, pretty much like destroy your body in a very radiational nuclear way. Like, it's pretty disruptive, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really understand if we morph, if we're starting to morph or if we're just getting ourselves killed, but we can understand as a whole society that these technologies, yes, they're cool, they're fancy, they're awesome, but they're also pretty damaging. So, just take the good with the bad.
So what do you think Wi-Fi is doing to us since it's everywhere and since everyone's experiencing, including you? What do you think it's doing to us?
I think it degrades your mitochondria. And it opens your blood-brain barrier.
Do you see anything online of how it could open up your blood-brain barrier?
I don't know about how, but
that it does.
I found an article. I was trying to find the validity of it, but it has a statement on here.
Damage the blood-brain barrier. Radio frequency radiation exposure has been shown to affect the permeability of the blood-brain barrier, as well as altering the expression of microRNA within the brain, which researchers state could lead to adverse effects such as neurodegenerative disease. Whoa. How come we don't know that?
And there's a doctor that did a study and said that it's been expanded on researchers in China, and there's a published article here, but I was looking around at the page.
They call it leaky brain.
The findings were followed by suppression, misinformation, and a shutdown of government-funded research in the United States.
It's the same play.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is that there are studies from all around the world, but it seems like America is brainwashed because of the Zionism, right? So when we look at the IQs of around the world and we see where the smartest people are coming from, it's definitely not here anymore. You know, when we look at the foods and the vaccines and all these different things and how they're damaging people, all the music is like straight up corrupting people's souls and minds. It's pretty obvious that, you know, there's a lot of people who are just too stupid to care. You know, they're just too caught up in their drug life, their alcohol life, their low life. And it's kind of weird how you see that there's like this demonic attachment with certain crowds, right? You know, this LGBTQ crowd out there, like the Zizian, the trans Zizian killing cult, or more recently, how we all have these Tesla factories getting attacked. Because people just can't handle themselves. You know, they're just not mature enough to really like take information in. They're just like a more of a seer and doer. They're like, oh, fucking hammer, rock, smash. Like, you know, these guys are idiots, bro. You know, all backwards with their genetics, all backwards and fried. Society is real split, and I'm not trying to say that like the world is fucked and America's fucked. It's just like there's a huge split. You know, there's a lot of people out there who just are getting damaged and hurt. They don't care. Like people tell them, "Oh, hey, dude, you're like your foods are pretty bad, getting you fat." And you know, I've seen people on social media be like, "Oh, so what? So what? I just want to die young. Who cares? Ha 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 ha." I'm like, all right, whatever. So you know, people are gonna stand up for themselves, or they're just gonna die young. Like this right here. Check this out. Cheeto Vera, UFC bantamweight. Cheeto Vera with a knife in the hand, or gets I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe this. This is in California. People are saying it's staged, so who knows? He pulls out a shotgun right out of his truck, and this little tweaker runs away. Next up, we have Chrissy Teigen, which needs to be investigated. Remember how, like, years ago, her and John Legend were all over the internet? It's very strange, right? Where, like, now they're not. Huh? Remember that little interview where John Legend was like, "Shut up! Don't tell him about that, please. Don't tell him about that." Literally, they were having an interview. Chrissy Teigen was like, "Oh, remember that Obama party that like the question was, the interviewer was like, "Where's the craziest place you had sex at?" And then Chrissy Teigen was like, "Oh, at the Obama place." And John Legend was like, "Don't say that." And he was serious. Like his face like completely shut down. Like he was happy. And then after she said that, he was like, "Okay, you said too much." And after that, it seems like they just got out of the light. This is probably why. Look at these tweets. These are old, man. But this is real. This is Chrissy Teigen. Weirdos like Diddy. Don't be a Diddy diddler. Satanic freak. Dude, these are people who don't have God. I really need to put a trigger warning on this and a warning for these episodes. I'll be honest, because some people they can't handle this, but some people will understand these things. Check this out. This is wild. So, because of the crazy laws between federal government and state government right now, they're battling, they're not agreeing with each other, and the whole thing with deportation, immigration. I'm not trying to even like go into that battle. I don't. I'm not one side for it or against it because I can make there's literally arguments for both sides on why it's bad, why it's good, why we should support legal immigration or whatever. You know what I mean? There's literally arguments on both sides. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to talk about what I'm seeing, right, and expose the news. So this is just a clip. The city of Denver released a video showing ICE chasing down and arresting a suspected Trenda Aragua member who had just been released from jail after Denver refused to hand him over to ICE inside the facility. So instead, right when he gets released, he's chased. Insane, because the cops are like, nah, we don't want to hand him over. Even though they're like, I don't even know I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. It's causing a whole bunch of social controversy, and like typically I try to stay away like from something that's gonna divide us. But it's weird because like you see people who are police and sheriffs and federal agents, like they don't want to do this either. They don't want to go through this. Like it's anyways, let's check it. So they eventually get him pinned down, but that's just insane, right? Like we're not gonna sit here and watch the whole 6-minute video. It's just insane where you see like there's both sides don't want to deal with this drama. No one wants to deal with this drama. We just want to all be peaceful with each other, smoke our weed. You know what I mean? We just want to smoke and chill and have a good time, kick it, go eat some tacos, go to church, pray to God. But like, hey, man, we don't need all this hate because we're having this shoved down our face. We don't even know it. Most people don't know it. I know it. I've been studying this for like 15 years, man. And I have some military background, and I'm highly aware of what the government and what these bigwigs are doing. Thankfully, I left the military. I don't want to be a part of any of that crap. But check this out. Look at this. World Economic Forum bioethicist wants to genetically modify humans so that so that they can become allergic to meat. I almost messed it up because I couldn't believe it. Yes, like say goodbye to all your chicken, your beef, your bison, your lamb. I don't even eat pork. I don't like pork, so I'm allergic to that no matter what. It's gross. But imagine we're allergic to meat. The whole world gets allergic to meat because this guy wants to make everybody allergic to meat. All the real proteins gone, all the real amino acids and
So one is that
and minerals and stuff.
people eat too much meat, right? And so I'll give two examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
So you can see that this is not just a mRNA vaccine type of thing, right? Like, people have been complaining over since COVID that, hey, are they genetically modifying us? Well, it's like most of these big billionaire, trillionaire, millionaire freakos, yeah, they're sick like that. They're eugenicists. Eugenicist is like someone who wants to control the population. And hey, you know, that's not me. I don't want to mess with anybody's body, mess with the population. I think that there could be way more people in the world, and I think we could all be stronger, eat healthier. But hey, like, that's the difference between me and them, and why I don't have crazy numbers like a million followers out of nowhere, like Mr. Beast. Oh, we're gonna get into that, dude. Yeah, Mr. Beast is a sellout, satanic puppet. Anyways, this is the second video of a nude woman disrupting traffic over this last weekend. So it happened twice, I think, or over the last week. It was like the same stuff happening in multiple states. So this girl, look at this. So it looks like something out. I'm not even gonna lie. It looks like something out of a scary movie, a horror movie, where, like, I don't even know. She's on drugs, on something, right? I'm not gonna keep on replaying it. But I also saw another video of same caliber of a woman naked running down the street. It was like, I don't know, California or Texas or something, and it was like, what the, yo, like, what are the odds? Same thing happening over the same weekend. I don't know. Maybe it was just weird little coincidence, with like all the planes crashing all at once. Oh yeah, hey, just a coincidence, I guess. Next up, Attorney General Andrew Bailey from Missouri is reporting $5 billion in wasted taxpayer dollars allocated to fund a green energy scam and massive land grab from Missouri farmers and landowners. So there's actually people in the law offices and politics who are actually seeing what Doge is doing and what Elon Musk is doing. I'm not here to say I'm support all the shit they're doing because it's stupid. Like, I'll be honest, what Donald Trump is doing is stupid. Um, but like, there are some good things. Like I said earlier, just because I don't agree with everything doesn't mean that I can't point out what is actually good, like this right here. So this attorney general is now trying to, speak up. He's like, hey, there's some corruption in my state. Can you guys check it out? Because it's not just Missouri. Like, I know here in like Washington State, there's a whole bunch of corruption with the land. In California, there's a whole bunch of corruption with the land. Like these bigwigs are literally just stealing their land, making up stupid technology that they say they're gonna build, but then they just take our money and then don't even build the technologies. Yeah, it's pretty wild. You know what I mean? I think that what we see is a whole bunch of foreigners trying to take our money, and what people don't realize is, like, they're just lying to you about how to go about it, right? Like, instead of just saying donate, they're just like, oh, hey, we're gonna build a superstructure, blah blah blah, and then they don't, and it's like, it's just a complete fabrication. It's not even just asking for donations, like, these politicians like um Kamala or Trump, where they're like, hey, please donate to my presidential campaign. But like, dude, they're already millionaires. Why do, like, they're just stealing the money. They don't need it. They're just stealing the money. But like, this stuff is way worse, because now you're giving people false hope and people false job security, right? Where people are like, oh, hey, you know, I wanna be a technician for this type of company because they made a promise that there's a new factory going to be built, but then it never built, and then the guys are left out of their training and left out of a job, and like, it's wasting people's future. Like, you can't waste someone's future, you know what I mean? Heck no, not at all. Next up, what is happening in Syria is absolutely disgusting, Sam Tripoli says. Yeah, hey, so if you guys don't know, there is a Christian genocide happening in Syria right now, where it's like it's not even being covered by the news. It's not being covered by the news at all. So what do you think is like going on with this Zionism? Because it's like Donald Trump is supporting it. And you know what? I think he's the Antichrist. I think that dude is literally the devil in disguise. Um I don't even know what else to say. He's not the devil in disguise, right? But he's an Antichrist like figure. Him and Mr. Beast and Elon Musk, they're all actually having those traits and characteristics of very evil, money hungry liars and manipulators, right? But they're I guess there is some good things that everybody does, like all the philanthropy, Elon, like people, the same thing people say about Bill Gates, where Bill Gates has done all this evil stuff, but he donates to so many charities, guys. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's true. I can't deny that. You know what I mean? Like, if there is money and good intentions, I can't deny it. You know what I mean? So, um, there's real bad intentions with this administration, and it's pretty bad. The whole anti-Christian thing. I don't know. I don't know how far it's gonna go, but I feel like we're itching closer and closer to what we know as the end times and Armageddon and apocalypse and all that stuff. Pretty bomb, pretty bomb. Like it's it's literally it's gonna be bombing, right? Like you can imagine bombs go off soon, with all this talk of war and everything. I didn't mean pretty bomb like it's gonna be good. I meant like there's bombs. There's gonna be bombs going off. Everything's gonna be exploding. My bad. I shouldn't have said the word pretty, but there's gonna be bombs. Um, check this out. This is next up.
So today we're gonna hit on the methylene.
So everyone's been talking about that methylene blue, right? Methylene blue. Oh yeah, it's making me healthier. I'm not one to fall for that dumb stuff. I knew that there was something funny when I heard people on a podcast say, "Oh yeah, it turns my pee blue, and it turns it radioactive." I'm like, dude, if your pee is turning blue, why would you ever take the supplement, right? Well, hey, it goes back 100+ years. Watch this clip right here.
Blue rabbit hole, because after I talked about ivermectin as a pharmaceutical product, let's talk about methylene blue. Same exact thing. It's the dye used in chemotherapy. Who owns that? Rockefeller Institute. Didn't you know they run the American Cancer Society and they own the entire thing since the Flexner Report? So if you put methylene blue into the body, you're putting a synthetic dye, which can result in dopamine and serotonin overload. And a simple Google search with methylene blue and the Rockefeller University, you'll get a whole bunch of things. And if we do a little more digging, we see that methylene blue is controlled by Bayer. Interesting. The company that is owned by the Federal Reserve, Rothschilds and Rockefeller strike again, also used for the groundwork of chemotherapy. FDA approved, they'll tell you. And it gets even deeper when you find out that cancer is diagnosed with a PCR test. And they also use it to fake a whole bunch of things as well, too. And someone might say, they'd never do that, really. Check out the book Eustace Mullins, Murder by Injection. This one will kind of blow your mind on the monopoly of the medical system of the Rockefellers and Rothschilds since the 1900s. All these products they keep coming out, it's the same thing on repeat. And since I like natural things that are not synthetic and made by a company trying to depopulate us, let's go with lion's mane and blue spirulina. Simple solutions to boost your energy and also boost the brain. You don't have to fund big pharma, because guess what they're trying to do? Harm you, that's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely noticed something was funny. And what's weird is that RFK himself is like seemingly acting up too. Like it's just a big rug pull, especially with what's happening with the market and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is down crazy. Man, it's wild. It is wild. Check this out. This is actually pretty cool to see where our I shouldn't say idols, but the people that we're looking up to as celebrities, or most people are looking up to as celebrities, they're not as dumb as you think. Where we're like, oh, how can they drink that Monster? How can they drink that Red Bull or Pepsi or Coca-Cola? But this is not the first time I've seen this. So a lot of times these celebrities replace the product with like water or something safe, and they make us look like they're drinking it, which is pretty sad because people are like, "Oh, well, if Post Malone drinks it, I should drink it too. It's cool. It makes me like him, but he's not even drinking it." So it's kind of like a huge trick. It's like a literal like sheet over your eyes. You know, you're not seeing the true thing, and yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, I would do the same thing if I was being paid. Let's just say 1 million to uh be like a Monster sponsor. I actually wouldn't accept the Monster thing. I wouldn't accept them. I don't know. That's money. I shouldn't sell out. No, I would never. But I can see that it's awesome. It's awesome. Like I like seeing this type of stuff, you know, people actually doing the right thing and thinking for themselves and being healthier. Next up, this is a pretty wild document. So I'm opening it up on the side, but here's a brief description. A declassified document reveals the CIA secretly used astral projection, remote viewing in 1973 to visit Jupiter. They saw moons that hadn't been discovered yet. They saw liquid and volcanic peaks. They even saw living beings on an asteroid belt. It was the Stargate project, which ran from the 1970s to the 1990s. $20 million was invested over 20 years. Remote viewing experiments. The DIA took the lead on it. The experiment began on the evening of April 27th, 1973. Harold Sherman and Ingo Swann were simultaneously tasked with remote viewing Jupiter from different parts of the country. After 1/2 hour, Mr. Sherman was reached by telephone by Mr. Swann, and the results compared. The CIA's report highlights striking similarities between the Sherman and Swann's observations. Both saw crystals in Jupiter's atmosphere. Both were first discovered as early as the 1930s. They described the atmosphere as thick and enormous, with yellow or golden glow. Sherman described them as volcanic peaks, and they reported mountainous peaks on Jupiter's surfaces. Sherman described great cones rising some miles. He said the peaks looked like almost metallic, molten, and sparks red hot. Swann reported an enormous mountain range about 31,000 feet high. There must be water. Swann and Sherman both saw crystals, and they felt that they were icy cold in contrast with the molten mountains. I feel like there's liquid somewhere. Liquid, like water. Sherman estimated he saw 17 moons, some undiscovered, orbiting Jupiter at the time of the experiment. Only 12 of Jupiter's moons had been discovered. 4 were discovered by Galileo in 1610. Then an additional 8 were discovered between 1892 and 1951. Today, 19 moons are present. Sherman locked into total contact with NASA's Pioneer 10 and reported that this was a definite collision course with one of the largest Jupiter moons. But Pioneer 10 did not ultimately collide with any of Jupiter's moons, and there is no record of NASA's altering its course. Sherman reported a groundbreaking theory on the origins of Jupiter's moons and the planets in our solar system. The feeling comes that some moons have been there and are being spawned by the convulsive volcanic action in the interior of the gaseous masses of Jupiter. Terrence Howard laid out the same theory of the solar system's origins. Walter Russell talked about the fact that the sun gave birth to the Earth, that it didn't coalesce from some field. All the planets in our solar system are drifting away. Sherman observed life forms in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. He even felt that intelligence or directing force inconceivable to us was creating new worlds in the region. I am now being shown many asteroids or very dark planets between Mars and Jupiter. Sherman suggested humanity's great science fiction stories may not be fiction at all. Fantastic ideas of other planets and civilizations, past, present, or future, may instead be physically tuning into actual conditions from some higher sources or source. Swan and Sherman then discussed their findings over the phone and suggested remote viewing Mars in a future experiment. They agreed that there was some liquid on Jupiter. 11 years later, the CIA took Sherman and Swan's advice and conducted a remote viewing experiment on ancient Mars. That was done in 1984. Now, oh man, what's interesting is that for everybody out there who's wondering on how this might be possible, just like think on how the government knows certain tactics on certain meditations, or they can instill people in certain trances, but they also have knowledge of, older things, so they have access to text and all sorts of different materials. But then there's also things that are going on, like the experiments, like, what you see with Stranger Things. You know how 11, she's like put through this like weird crazy government program, and then she could see into other dimensions and see across time and into like some dark realm, but it's like, yeah, they're tapping into some type of psychic field, some type of extra dimension, or like someone's own abilities, right? Now they can be harnessed for good or for bad, and there's information that you can pull out. That's why things like deja vu happens, visions happens, dreams where you're seeing the future, because it's not just a random thing. It can be done on will and on command. You just have to train yourself and understand it, and you have to be powerful and very, very, very safe, because if you start dabbling and looking at things that are going to scare you and traumatize you, you're probably going to ruin everything. But if you understand, like, be smart and be peaceful with these type of abilities, you can pull out some information, which is where psychics come from, right? Where, everyone's heard of psychics, or everyone's, heard of people dabbling in magic where they're trying to figure out information, pull information, and they do, right? Like the Ouija boards or whatever the heck. I don't dabble in any of that type of stuff, but we could see that these dimensions of reality, whether it be from spirit or the mind or heaven or whatever, it's all interconnected. And if we learn these abilities, we can see the other parts of the universe that's interconnected with us. It's just connected in a very, very thin line, and we have to figure out how to tether that line. And we have to figure out how to harness that golden cord, that silver cord, right? And follow it back to the source. And then, hey, from there, it's all on you. Next up, though, we're gonna go forward. Yeah. I'm looking at this Mars experiment. This experiment was conducted under the Stargate Project, a secret army team tasked with investigating psychic phenomena, primarily remote viewing and the potential for military intelligence applications. Investigative journalist Jack Anderson first reported the existence. Remote viewing is the perpetual ability to peer into the place or time with one's mind separate from the time and place that their body is in. In 1976, an airman, Rosemary Smith, eventually even reported the identified location of a crashed Soviet plane using remote viewing. So it's not just fake. Like, people have actually pulled real information. In January 2017, a CIA document from 1984 called Mars Exploration under this program was declassified. The subject who undertook this exploration was given a sealed envelope with a card inside that read, "The planet Mars, time of interest, 1 million years ago." So the government's been trying to figure out and put together all the timepieces of history. When did civilization migrate from Mars to Earth, or what type of entities are there, what type of life forces are there, when did the floods happen, and what type of fauna and what type of animals and things are existent, over these time periods of 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, 500,000 years, 1 million years, right? When we look, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild to think that when we look at the Sumerian tablets and the Sumerian kings list, it talks about kings on record going back at least 400 to 500,000 years ago, right? And then there's some even older religions that have things on tablets to say, hey, there's some slight, very few references to things a million years ago. And it's like, oh, snap. Okay, if we're listening to all the cultures and putting it all together like it's all one connected universe, we're realizing that, hey, maybe these guys are trying to go look back at Mars 1 million years ago specifically, because they know that from our ancient texts, these cults and gods and deities and flying spacecraft and angels and demons, like they say 100% they come from another planet. They come from things like Mars. So, you know, it's all connected, where if we study enough, we will see like, oh, there's more than enough references throughout history to prove that there's more to history than we are being told, that our mainstream books are being told. Like, you know, people are trying to say the Big Bang Theory, right? The Big Bang Theory created everything, and we came from a tadpole, and we came from monkeys, and that BS. No, there's no proof of any of that. There's no proof of any of that. That's garbage Darwinism history. But real history shows how grand and spectacular our life has really been. Like, hey, when the Indians and Native Americans say their ancestors came from the stars and were star people, there's a lot of tales and proof around the world that coincide with that big time. And the government's even dabbling into it. And like I said, don't like there's some things about the government that we don't like, but there's also some things that people within the government do that the government doesn't like, and they try to cover it up. They're like, oh, you know what, you're trying to be too good. And so then things like this, right, where it's it's obvious that these days this type of stuff would be criticized by the Democrats, and or even just the people who are anti-freedom. Well, I don't care if it's Democrats or Republicans. There's probably some Republicans who would be opposed to this. Just pretty interesting stuff right here. So it goes on to say the experiment began at 10:09 a.m. on May 22nd, 1984. First, the subject reported an oblique view of the pyramid sitting in a large depressed area. He reported several clouds, more like dust storms. I'm looking at an effect of a major geological problem. The subject reported seeing a perception of shadow of people, very tall, thin. It's as if they were there and they're not. They're not there anymore. The Martians were reportedly very large and wearing some kind of strange clothes. 20 minutes into the exploration, the subject arrived at a new place with a very large marker resembling the Washington obelisk. Jumping to another place, the subject reported a huge circular basin surrounded by very ragged mountains. In another place, the subject made a stunning report of a radiation pattern of some kind. It's like some really strange intersecting kind of roads that are dug into valleys. They're like real neat channels cut. They're very deep. It's like the road went down. The moderator then told, I noticed electrically you're nulled out a little bit, and I want you to stay deep and recapture your focus in the remote viewing. The subject revealed that it's really tough and his ability to focus seems sporadic. At this point, the moderator noted to himself that he believed the subject was losing his ability or is attracted to things that are interesting. The moderator decided to let the subject pursue what he found. 35 minutes in, the subject suddenly said the pyramids were like shelters from storms, and he seemed confident that they're designed for that. Inside the pyramid was reportedly stripped of any kinds of furnishing. It's like a functional place for living. The subject reported that Martians sleeping in the pyramids were same tall and large ones when he saw earlier. He reportedly was able to approach one of them and ask about their story. They're ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age. The Martians can't seem to get their way out after the geological problem that the subject noted early on. They were reportedly hanging on while waiting for a group of them had left some time ago to find a new place to live. So the stories go from ancient cultures that Mars was once a thriving planet, and then a million or so plus years ago, they destroyed themselves. There was a war, and the war got extremely bad, where like nuclear bomb like type stuff was going off, and they destroyed the atmosphere by ripping a hole in it, which is why people don't want to mess with nuclear bombs these days. They understand like, oh, we can actually destroy our planet by doing one wrong thing. The ozone and atmosphere is ripped and everyone's dead within a short matter of time, month, day, who knows, right? So the stories go is that there are civilizations, our ancestors, or not our ancestors, but like maybe the ancestors of some people on Earth are there on Mars, and there's a lot of a lot of tales, a lot of stories, a lot of cultures. Talk about that. The subject believed the one he was speaking to would perceive him to be hallucinating or something. The moderator then asked the subject to find how the others had left. The subject reported that it looks like the inside of a larger boat, like a sky boat, like Noah's Ark, sky ship. And with that, the moderator called the subject back to the 22nd of May, 1984. So that was a shortened version of all of those project details of the Jupiter seeing and the Mars seeing. So if you want, you can go ahead and research more into that for sure. And we're gonna go forward. Check out this stupid. Check Joe Biden thinks he's slick. He's over here groping on Melania's ass. This is wild. I'm not even gonna lie. Well, kind of. People are saying he's groping on Melania's. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Does it look like it? So he has his hand on her back, and from the front, she kind of doesn't look like. She looks like she doesn't like it, and then he slides his hand down. What you don't see is that like 1 second after this, Donald Trump got into Joe Biden's face. Like he was actually mad, and he was yelling or something, and then security had to come and separate them both. So literally, right after this, Melania go like right after he drops his hand, Melania goes and whispers something into Donald Trump's ear, and Donald Trump steps out in front and starts like pointing at Joe Biden or something. He said something. I don't know. You can definitely tell it's not nice and it's not respectful. And so Donald Trump starts talking shit to Joe Biden, and Joe Biden looked scared after that because the security had to come and separate them both. So like I think Joe Biden said something freaky in Melania's ear, like, "Oh, I like your toes. Ooh, your hairy legs." I don't know, some weird. You know what I mean? That's creepy Joe Biden right there. Next up, though, the dancing Israelis for 9/11 video right here. Yeah, the one that they were on interviews talking about it. Yeah, yeah, they did it. But we're gonna go forward. Next up, man, rest in peace, Avicii, Chester Bennington, Chris Cornell, and Anthony Bourdain. Next up. Look at this. I believe this is Netanyahu.
1995.
Whatever. These guys from Israel, they wrote a book in 1995 stating that the World Trade Centers would be destroyed by Muslims, and then admitted after on camera that Israel was the primary beneficiary of 9/11. Yeah, strange coincidence, much, right? Remember, you guys could look back And you guys can see in my posts, on my videos, I think I don't know what episode it is. It's like around 9/11, September 11th, where I go much deeper into this and show you like, hey, there's these guys. These guys are responsible.
In the 1990s, and I said that the West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center. I said that the West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center.
What a funny thing to say, right? He's like, oh, they will bring it down. Like if he has a hand in it, he could say that, and he probably did, right? Probably did. So, here, check this out. Next up, there are some reasons why Gaddafi was bombed and killed. Remember, when Donald Trump first came into power, he killed Gaddafi, straight up bombed him, and he was like, "Oh, he's a terrorist," but he wasn't. And Gaddafi was probably one of the most respected leaders over there. Yeah, and there was probably some craziness going on with the whole Africa, Middle East area, and so like you can say that there's bad things going on, that there's good things going on. Here, check this out though. You tell me. So, Gaddafi was the leader of Libya. Libya had no electricity bills. Electricity came free of charge to all citizens. There were no interest rates on loans. The banks were state-owned, and the loans of citizens by law were zero. Gaddafi promised to not buy a house for his parents until everyone in Libya owns a home. All newlywed couples in Libya received 60,000 dinars from the government, and because of that, they bought their own apartments and started their families. Education and medical treatment in Libya are free. Before Gaddafi, there were only 25% readers. During Gaddafi's reign, 83% of the country was reading. If Libyans wanted to live on a farm, they received free household appliances, seeds, and livestock. If they could not receive treatment in Libya, the state would fund them $2,300 in accommodation and travel for treatment abroad. If you bought a car, the government finances 50% of the price. The price of gasoline became 14 cents per liter. Libya had no external debt, and the reserves were 150 billion. Not anymore. They're, oh my God. Since some Libyans couldn't find jobs after school, the government would pay the average salary when they couldn't find a job. Part of oil sales in Libya are directly linked to the bank accounts of all citizens. So, citizens would get a little bit of money every time oil was sold from the country. 40 loaves of bread cost 15 cents. Gaddafi implemented the world's biggest irrigation project known as the Big Man Project to ensure water availability in the desert. So from what I know is that Gaddafi found some old tunnels underneath Libya, like some crazy old tunnels, and he turned them all into water irrigation canals. So he like revolutionized the mixture of the old world with the new world and did it right. I don't know about like all the bad stuff he did, but hey man, like there's sometimes you just got to realize like some people are doing actually like really helpful stuff. Check this out. So here's more in the video. So it starts off saying in 1951, before Gaddafi, Libya was one of the poorest countries in the world, but then once Gaddafi started coming into power, then it became super rich in good ways, right?
Everything will be perfect tonight and forever. Light shine on, making our faces many colors. Everyone is moving like waves make an ocean on and on. Everybody's singing, yes, this is happiness happening. La 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 la. La 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 Everything will be perfect tonight and forever. Light shine on, making our faces many colors. Everyone is moving like waves make an ocean on. Everybody's singing, yes, this is happiness happening, 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 happening. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Everything will be perfect, will be perfect, will be perfect, will be perfect. Everything will be perfect, will be perfect, will be perfect, will be perfect. Everything will be perfect tonight and forever. Light shine on, making our faces many colors. Everyone is moving like waves make an ocean on and on. Everybody's singing, yes, this is happiness happening. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Man, that was a pretty dope video. I'm not gonna lie. It shows that Libya and Gaddafi were set up, right? They were completely set up. It's kind of like what happened with Iraq and blaming them for 9/11, where they weren't part of the Rothschild mainstream banking, and then after we blame them for bombing, we go in there and lay down some good old American can of whoop ass, right? And then we turn them into Americans. Nah, we won't turn them into Americans, but like we Americanize everything. We show them liberty and justice, right? Or pretty much just take over Iraq and like make them bow down to us. It's just a whole political show, political mess. Here, check this out. Remember,
around
a
15.
local CBS affiliate actually reported the truth about Pizzagate, and then he was shortly fired afterwards because, yeah, check this out.
A major story weeks ago when an armed man decided to investigate a DC area pizza place for himself. This man right here, he carried a rifle into a pizza parlor and then fired it at the floor. Media is telling you the entire story is a hoax or fake news. But what does that even mean? I spent the last month investigating. So what exactly is Pizzagate? And are there any actual facts to support the story? I've got to warn you, what we're going to talk about tonight will be disturbing to some people, but this is a reality check you won't see anywhere else. Pizzagate actually comes from the WikiLeaks release of hacked emails from Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. In all, WikiLeaks dumped around 50,000 email messages, and it was from those emails that the claims that John Podesta may be part of a child sex trafficking ring come from. Now, to be clear, not one single email in the Podesta emails discusses child sex trafficking or pedophilia. That is a fact. But there are dozens of what seem to be strangely worded emails dealing with pizza and handkerchiefs. Self-described online investigators say that those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by pedophiles. So how did a DC pizza parlor get pulled into the story? Well, again, read any mainstream report, and they indicate that Comet Ping Pong Pizza was somehow linked to this fake story and has no relation to anyone involved. But the truth is, that's not true either. What media is ignoring is that the Comet Ping Pong Pizza place is actually referenced in the Podesta emails at least a dozen or so times, and that the owner of that place, James Alfantis, is a friend of John Podesta. He was actually named, this is kind of strange, by GQ magazine as one of the top 50 most powerful people in Washington. Yes, we're talking about a pizza parlor owner. Now let's talk facts here. There is no solid evidence that Comet Ping Pong Pizza is being used to run a child sex trafficking ring. But there are some very strange connections between Comet Ping Pong Pizza and a second pizza place 2 doors over, Besta Pizza, and the accusations of pedophilia. Now, this is where things start to get strange when you research this story. Now, to begin, I need to show you a 2007 unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains commonly used symbols by pedophiles to express their preference in children. I want you to see these images here. These are the images. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Clearly, you can see that the Besta logo actually contains the same image, I'm going to show you again, as that boy lover image. Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They removed the triangle. Also, Comet Ping Pong, owned by Alfantis, is the place where a number of performance artists perform regularly. 2 of the groups that perform there, who you can see advertised, by the way, on this Comet Ping Pong poster, include a group called Heavy Breathing and another group called Sex Stains. Well, if you check out the YouTube videos by these bands, Heavy Breathing has songs that do joke about pedophilia, and the band Sex Stains has a video that includes, and you see it right there, that same boy lover symbol. It's nearly identical to the one that the FBI does say is a pedophile code symbol for boy love. As I said, there are some strange things there. As for the owner of the pizza place, James Alfantis, well, he was one time in a relationship with David Brock, who ran Media Matters for America. Well, since Pizzagate began to blow up online, he has made his Instagram profile, Jimmy Comet, private. But an archive search of Instagram reveals a number of strange photographs and words with strange and disturbing images associated with them. Look, to the point where we can't show you those pictures. We're not even going to describe them to you because some viewers would find it too disturbing to share on TV. Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for abusing boys years ago. He was referred to by the judge as a serial child molester. According to the Washington Post, visitors to Tony Podesta's home in Falls Church got an eyeful when they walked into a bedroom at the Podesta residence hung with multiple color pictures by Katie Grannon, a photographer known for documentary-style pictures of naked teenagers in their parents' suburban homes. And to be clear, that just begins to scratch the surface of how strange some of this stuff is. And bear in mind, we can't get into a lot of the real details of it because of the limits on broadcasting this on television. But it is some very strange stuff. Now, keep in mind, again, there is no proof here that there is a child sex ring being operated out of a DC pizza parlor. Investigators have already proven there's nothing to the story, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what you need to know. For all that is here, there has not been one single public investigation of any of this, not from local police, not from the FBI, no one. And that has to be the big question, not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement. Based on what may be or may not be here, the big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place? That's Reality Check. Let's talk about it on Twitter.
Man, that was a deep dive and extensive description and analysis of the case. There was, even more to it. That there's a lot more to it. I'll be honest. That is by far one of the craziest things over the last 10 years. The whole WikiLeaks, Podesta emails, Comet Pizza. It's all connected, and it's pretty disturbing. But we're gonna go forward. Check this out. Remember Anne Heck? Remember Anne Heck, where I've shown the video a lot. She was, I don't even know, in a crash or something, and she was alive and she was moving and healthy and well. But then when the ambulance came, they put her on a stretcher and then put a body bag over her like she was dead. And then she tried getting up and they were like shoving her down. Like, it was weird, right? And then within a couple hours, the news said, "Oh, Anne Heck died in a crash, fatally murdered, fatally dead." Like, what? No, she wasn't. Like, no. Like, there's even helicopter video footage of it where she's alive. But hey, we'll see why.
That were tied, our hands were tied with the Ellen show. That means money. And if you think about all the studios, the TV shows, the films that considered you and then thought, oh wait, there's that Ellen cockblock that we have to consider. That's right. Let's just hire Mary Sorvino. That's right. That's right. You have her in your movie, you have her in your show, you ain't gonna get promo on mine. And that's a thing. And that is a thing. And that is. And we didn't realize that until the show was canceled, because then people were coming forward and telling, because they were afraid to. Fear has a very big force. It's not as big as love's, obviously. But I do want to say, you teased about this before, but that I was the original canceled, and I am going to be the original uncanceled. I am uncanceled today. I am finished with that. This is what I say. Goodbye. Watch out. You're fucked.
They say that she knew a lot about Ellen DeGeneres, and because she was Ellen DeGeneres' girlfriend. So, what, she was trying to leak things, and eventually she was gonna, turn on Ellen DeGeneres. That's probably more than likely. Here's a quick little tip, I guess. Right, create a filter in your emails to delete everything with the word unsubscribe in it. Smart. Next up, this is pretty insane. Speaking about Diddy, Odell Beckham and Drewski have been named defendants in the Diddy case. So they're out there diddly dabbling. Remember that video with Odell Beckham Jr. and Justin Bieber in a club, and everyone's like, "What's going on? What's happening?" Like, it looks really weird. Really weird. Yeah, I wonder now, like, I don't want to wonder. I don't even want to think about it. But it's probably more than accurate to say that they're all part of those weird sex magic ritual dungeons for fame, and they're nasty, they're messed up. And yeah. And so here's a little piece that says, instead of immediately raping plaintiff, Drewski doused plaintiff with more oil and lubricant and jumped on top like a slip and slide. That's messed up, man. That's messed up. And then, so I've been playing around with Grok. I've asked, what are the next advancements of cryptocurrency over the next 5 years, according to the market and everything, and all sorts of different things. And it gave me a pretty detailed answer, a lot longer than a simple read. So if you guys want, go check that out on my profile. I'm gonna pull this one up. It says, when did car companies start putting trackers in cars? So here's part of the answer that I'm reading. Car companies began integrating chips in the 1970s. By the mid 1980s, most car manufacturers were transitioning to computer controlled fuel injection systems. In 1990s, car companies started adding GPS tracking to their cars. 1996, President Bill Clinton's policy directive helped expand GPS technology for more civilians in cars. GPS navigation systems early in the 2000s became more common in personal cars. There's even more. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? I made another post similar to airplane black boxes, breakdown of the same thing in cars. And so in 1968, the Volkswagen was actually the first car with a computer engine, fuel injector chip, whatever. Pretty wild. That's a super long time ago. It's a really long time ago. Some cars have like hidden sensors and cameras and data recorders. So over the last like 30 years, we've been seeing advancements in cars and technologies, but we've also been seeing hidden technologies, like even things in tires where there's like some tire manufacturers put like GPSs in their tires, and the automotive industry is very, very strange because like on one side you got a whole bunch of mechanics, but then you got the real tricky technological stuff that the manufacturers are putting in that people don't really know about, and they're recording data that people don't really know about. So like cars are recording your data for sure. These days with all the new cars, it's recording everything you say, where you're going, how fast you're going, everything. I'm not even trying to like play around. Like this is real stuff. Go check out more on your own, I guess. Next up, with the Grok. I asked Grok if it's possible to eat 50 tacos in 15 minutes, and it says it would be an extreme challenge, even for a competitive eater. It I would have to eat about 3.33 tacos per minute, or roughly one taco every 18 seconds. And then it goes down to breaking down its idea on why the tacos would be hard and a soft shell with meat, cheese, and some toppings. That's just gonna make me hungry. Next, so I had got it from actually not even a fan, but a person I was interacting with on Instagram on a post. So just a random person, and they told me to check out the behavior modification biochip in relation to Order 66 from Star Wars. So the inhibitor chips were implanted in the brains of clone troopers to ensure obedience to specific commands. Most notably, Order 66. Initially, these chips were presented as a safeguard against rogue Jedi, but they were manipulated by the Sith to facilitate as near extermination of the Jedi Order. These chips are organic constructs deeply integrated into the clone's neural pathways. When Order 66 was issued, the chip would activate, overriding the clone's personal feelings or bonds with Jedi, compelling them to view all Jedi as traitors and enemies to be eliminated. So it was like a biological chip. So the chip would be part brain, or it would like attach like the brain pathways, and it wasn't really like a mechanical electrical thing. It was more like it says biological chip or organic chip or organic construct, right? And it was put into clones, but also Jedi's. And it's interesting, like it says it took over the person's commands and thoughts and everything. Like, what are people doing with all these, chips over the last couple of years with, whether it be Neuralink or the vaccines or like, even the pay to the scan to pay chips on your hand, um, whatever that people have now. Like they have their bank card on their hand. Like, oh, I'm cool. I can pay with my hand. Like, all right, whatever. That's weird, I guess, but it's the future, I guess, right? It's just, what else is it doing? Like, is there any biological controls that these things have hidden within their technology? From the other end where people are like sitting behind computers and like typing on, and they're like, "Oh, look at this." I think I saw that episode of Black Mirror, but I don't know. It sounds like an episode of Black Mirror. But it's real stuff to think about, right? Because like I said, all these movies and comics and TVs and art and everything we see is all interconnected in some strange way. And there's a lot more to reality than meets the eye. Yeah, Transformers. No, I always like that saying, the truth is stranger than fiction. So like you couldn't come up with some of the stuff in real life as lies. It's so strange. Like here, right here. Next up, experimental forestry in Miyazaki, Japan, started in 1973 by the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries to test tree density and growth. Linen forest in Siberia from 1970, Duke's forest planted in 1938. So here's three different experimental forests. So the first one is Japan, 1973, then Siberia, 1970, and then Duke's in 1938. This is interesting. So this is Japan. This is awesome. Look at that perfect symmetry. Like that would be cool to like go camping in there. That would be sweet. Right in the center, and then like I don't know, create hammocks all between those perfectly symmetrical trees. That'd be cool. Next, uh, that's real interesting. That is I my eyes are confused. I think it's upside down. I don't know. I can't read that. It's a foreign language. I don't even know what it says. What that word means. But the landscape looks pretty cool. So the trees and formation, everything that looks pretty sweet. Go picnicking there. Yeah. Between the H's and all the letters, everyone have their own little table. I guess on the whatever this is on the far left, the V, upside down V, whatever. You can have like one table, two tables. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. I don't know. That'd be pretty sweet. And then Duke's Forest in 1938 on the mountain in the background. They put DUX. Yeah, I don't know what else. Cool. Well, I don't know what the purpose of that was, but yeah, I like the one with Japan. That one actually has some value to it, where it looks cool. Probably has some energy, some awesome energy there. Next up, oh snap! Pretty much there's a video going around. Well, not just a video, but let's see if I can pull this up. This is an important part. Hold on one second. So it's about Mr. Beast. So remember how I said I was going to show you something about Mr. Beast? Look at this. We're going to get into this real quick. Remember last year I did talk about how that whole Chris Tyson thing where his buddy got sacrificed pretty much and was forced to turn trans. Very strange. Here, check this out. Shit. We're gonna start from the beginning. Yeah, I finally put that connection together where Mr. Beast is doing summoning circles on people, and people don't know. Like they're with that whole challenge he did, pretty much he put everybody through a ritual, and it's kind of like the same thing with the Travis Scott concert in some weird way. Not out in the open and killing people, but remember that Travis Scott concert where it was in Houston and like people were noticing that there was just some strange things going on stage with the lights, with the visuals, with the music, with everything, and it was like people were saying that they were like he was summoning things on people, and it was like demons were being manifested into his audience. Well, it's like what do you think Mr. Beast is doing with his audience, right?
Have you
So I kind of am looking at Mr. Beast as one of the magicians, one of the dark magicians. Not even kidding.
ever faked a video?
No. But this train track is CGI, these bus wheels are CGI, this explosion is fake, this shredder is CGI, this car is digitally lifted, this pit is fake, this guy is fake, this island costs more than $1, this city is not abandoned, these buildings are CGI, it's not your only way out, you can literally get an Uber to the airport for $20. That's not a lurker, it's just a guy. This whole room is fake, this contestant is an actor and a secret employee at Mr. Beast, stands out through this fake door twice, this line is scripted, this action is scripted. In fact, pretty much all the videos with Mac are scripted.
Talks about Mr. Beast doing illegal lotteries, constantly relies on that classical conditioning to make kids think that, oh my gosh, if I watch Mr. Beast, then I'm going to get a car. Oh my gosh, if I watch Mr. Beast, then my life is going to change. Talks about how Mr. Beast will have people on the team fake signatures saying MB and send that out, and people think that it's really from Mr. Beast when it's really just from another team member copying his. How every single video with Mac is completely scripted and that Mr. Beast never changed his life. Matt already moved to California, $1 million mansion, but Mr. Beast made it seem like in his videos that his videos changed his life. And there are so many illegal lotteries that he has ran because he makes you think that you have a chance, but you never have a chance. All the lotteries and everything that he's ever done, the winners are other big YouTubers and Mr. Beast employees. That's it. No random subscriber is ever winning his challenges. He talked about how Feastables are a lie. He shows clips talking about how Feastables are so healthy, they're worse than Hershey's. He's doing all of this false advertising, acting like these are good for you. They're up to 2 times the calorie amount of a normal chocolate bar that's not manufactured by Mr. Beast. And he talked about how Mr. Beast threw a temper tantrum with Keith Lee and show how Mr. Beast's face completely changed as soon as Keith Lee was not going to give like a 10 out of 10. And Mr. Beast literally threw candy bars across Keith Lee's house and getting very angry that Keith Lee wasn't automatically going to give him a 100%. This is amazing. And there's so much more he hasn't gotten to yet, including to how someone almost died at a Mr. Beast shoot, but he hasn't revealed that yet.
Yeah, man. Mr. Beast and his crew are they're faking it. Everything. Someone had posted a 53-minute video. And it says, I worked for Mr. Beast and he's a fraud, fake videos, legal crime, money laundering, or things similar. Check this out. So here's even more.
But those events, everything he does is a scam. His hashtag Team Seas Ocean Cleanup Project that removed thousands of pounds of plastic from the ocean It was sponsored by Coca-Cola, the world's leading plastic bottle manufacturer and polluter. What about when he gives thousands of pounds of free food to people in need? Well, the fact that they're fed is great, but those events are directly sponsored by monopolistic corporations and serve primarily as commercials for their products.
They gave us 10,000 turkeys to give away at this food drive, so I forbid you from buying a turkey from any other brand for this Thanksgiving.
What about when he took time during COVID to save small restaurants by launching his Mr. Beast burger chains, allowing mom and pop operations to survive through a difficult time when people weren't able to eat out? Well, he actually mass promoted the concept of ghost kitchens, which is where local businesses and restaurants have to mass manufacture multiple different online restaurant foods so they can manipulate DoorDash search results. What used to be your favorite local restaurant now has to make generic sushi, Greek food, Italian, and Mr. Beast burger. Everything he does is a scam. His hashtag Team Seas Ocean.
Very strange. Um, I'm kind of barely getting into the whole aspect of how these rich people are able to trick and able to manipulate data and videos, but not just that, but like politics and everything and contracts and markets, right? It's like, I guess, I'm 31, so like it's perfect time for me to learn all this stuff. Check this out. So Mr. Beast in Gematria is 666. Very strange people. Very strange person right here. He definitely looks off, dude. That doesn't look like a normal person, bro. Like it looks like he's I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna wrap this down and cool this down a little bit. I'm gonna let's see. Let's say real quick though, rest in peace to Jamie White, a news reporter over in Texas, was brutally killed and murdered last night after leaving the studio. So he was followed and gunned down and killed. He worked for InfoWars, and as Alex Jones said, he was his best writer, and it was a valuable man on the team, a valuable man.
Jamie was murdered last night outside of his home, just a few miles away from our studios. And we are the folks here breaking that news first because his family has been notified, and his good personal friends here that were very close to Jamie have talked to his folks and family. We sent some people over this morning when he didn't answer the phone, because he's always here early, loves to work, loves to fight tyranny, loves to promote freedom. And when they got to the apartment complex, there was yellow tape everywhere and blood all over the parking lot. And we went and talked to the manager. They didn't know anything. It's like everybody else we see in the left. They just very laissez-faire. But
it's pretty sad. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. Last piece of thing that we got. The sacred text, the Book of Jubilees, was removed from the Bible. And here's a hidden truth. Here's a thread on the whole Book of Jubilees thing, I guess. Most people don't realize this book claims to be the divine revelation given directly to Moses on Mount Sinai, but unlike Genesis, it wasn't written by Moses himself. Angels supposedly placed the words in writing while Moses listened. This direct celestial authorship threatened the authority of religious leaders. The book divides all of history into an exact 49-year cycles called Jubilees. What made this dangerous? It contradicted traditional religious calendars. It claimed to reveal the exact structure of time itself. It created a precise dating system from creation of Moses. This precise chronology challenged centuries of accepted biblical interpretation. Here's where it gets fascinating. Jubilees fills in countless gaps of biblical narratives with extraordinary details. What happened before the Garden of Eden, the full story of Abraham's life, Noah's relationship with angels, These expanded stories revealed spiritual secrets kept from ordinary believers.
Of the world in periods of 49 years, rather than the mainstream 6-day creation narrative. The Ethiopian Bible uses a unique system of timekeeping. Instead of the mainstream biblical timeline, the Book of Jubilees measures history in periods of 49 years. For example, the covenant between God and Abraham was established in the 20th Jubilee, and the Exodus took place in the 50th. But it gets even crazier. The Book of Jubilees provides exact dates for key events, like the births and lifespans of significant biblical figures, all fitting perfectly within these 49-year cycles. This level of precision challenges the traditional, often vague timelines we know, and suggests a highly sophisticated understanding of time by ancient scribes. The concept of jubilees implies that time itself is a divine cycle, with each 49-year period marking a complete renewal. This idea reflects ancient beliefs that history repeats in patterns. But there's more. The Book of Jubilees also hints that these 49-year cycles are influenced by the stars and planets, aligning with ancient astrology. This all suggests that everything in history happened and will happen in patterns of 49 years. It is like our realm might have been meticulously planned or manipulated by divine forces.
Definitely, I believe that.
Scrolls called the Book of Jubilees. It's not included in most Bibles, but it's this book that is said to be written by Moses himself. And it actually gives us a much more detailed look at life before the flood. See, after Cain kills Abel, he ends up marrying his younger sister, and her name was Awan. Then Eve has another child named Seth, who marries his younger sister, Azura. Then Enos takes his sister, Noam, before Kenan takes his sister, Mualaleth. Now, Mahalalel seems to be the very first person to marry his cousin, and her name was Dinah. From now on, everyone else would do the same thing. See, Jared would take his uncle's daughter, Baraka, before Enoch marries his uncle's daughter, Edna. Then Methuselah also marries a woman named Edna, before Lamech marries his cousin, Betanos. Finally, Noah would also marry his cousin, and it was through her that the whole world would restart. According to the Book of Jubilees, Noah had 3 sons, but his wife was a woman named Anzara.
I'll be honest, I've never read the Book of Jubilees, but we're just going through it. Like seeing what this says, so that's some pretty wild stuff what he just said.
Who were all the women?
I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty crazy. But here, continuing on this interesting thing with the Book of Enoch. It's a different book. It's interesting. It directly conflicted with the lunar calendar of the Jewish tradition. So if the Jews don't like it, I'ma like it. All right. It meant celebrating holy days on completely different dates. It suggested many religious leaders were worshiping on the wrong days. This calendar challenged the very rhythm of religious life. Interesting. The angel connection. Jubilees portrays angels actively involved in human affairs in shocking ways. Angels physically brought Adam to Eden. They taught humans language and writing. They instructed people in medicine and agriculture. This intimate connection between angels and humans contradicted traditional doctrine about the separation between heaven and earth. The Enoch mystery. The text elevates Enoch to an extraordinary position. First human to learn writing, master astronomer who created the calendar, direct collaborator with divine beings. This portrayal of Enoch gives him a spiritual authority rivaling Moses himself. This is something religious hierarchies couldn't tolerate. Yeah. there's definitely a whole bunch of stuff with the banned books of the Bible that, like, you can tell power hungry people didn't want everyone to know. Just interesting. According to Jubilees, many biblical laws existed centuries before they were supposedly given. Abraham celebrated Jewish festivals. He followed kosher food laws. He observed the Sabbath perfectly. This contradicted the unique covenant timeline accepted by religious authorities. The racial separation. The book contains extreme teachings on. Oh, geez, why did it just disappear all of a sudden? The book contains extreme teachings on separation, divine punishment for racial mixing. What? Strict prohibitions against marrying non-Israelites. Claims that separation was ordained before creation. These teachings were too controversial for early Christian communities seeking converts. I guess, yeah. Then a lot, like I said, just because you don't agree with everything, that doesn't mean that there aren't some decent things. I guess this calendar is interesting. The 49-year cycles. I've heard something similar to that. Because I do think that our years go in cycles. I mean, the Kali Yuga and this whole Yuga cycle thing stuff. Like, where does it come from? It comes from somewhere. The Ethiopian connection, despite being rejected elsewhere, one group preserved this text. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church kept it as a sacred scripture. Ethiopian Jews, Beta Israel, consider it canon. It remains part of the Bible to this day. So the Ethiopian Bible has like 15 more books than American Bibles. So it's thicker, it has more text, it has older text, and it has real text. It just didn't get the same Rothschild brainwashing, so they were able to keep things. The enduring influence, though officially excluded, its impact is everywhere. Many Dead Sea Scrolls contain Jubilees fragments. It shaped early Jewish and Christian thought. Its concepts appear in countless religious writings. Yeah, like the Book of Enoch appears in the Bible, like referenced, and it's interesting. It's definitely pretty interesting. I'm getting pretty tired, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Definitely gonna wrap this up. Let me just go back to the main page, show you guys something real fast. So if you guys want, there are a couple documentaries I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play them later on this week, but you guys can go watch them yourself. There's a Pizzagate and child trafficking documentary, 1 hour long. There's another 1 hour long a documentary about Gaddafi and Libya. And then there's this 30-minute Ian Carroll segment. And the thread about Point Reyes, California, where for over 100 years, ranchers and dairy farmers have worked the land at Point Reyes. They built Marin's organic food movement and supplied fresh milk to Californians. Now they're being forced out by environmental groups that are funded by the state and being forced out by the federal government and being forced out by Newsom's political allies. So this huge agriculture area where there's been 100 years worth of families and companies and helping people out, it's all being thrown away because of rich people stuff. They want to destroy the land. Hey, with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for being here. Remember, guys, like, subscribe, share. Thank you guys for being here. You guys are the best. See you guys next time on the 509 Divine Pints podcast. Be blessed. Be high. Peace.
not new. What I do, I've been at it for a minute, pursuing doing the damage. New, I would do everything that I said I would do. I gotta have it, so goddamn it, I'ma be everything I plan to be. Glad to see money coming my way, believe I'll achieve anything I put my mind to, or at least I try to. I'm avoiding my doom, manifesting my room. Meditate to ease the flow. Third eye open, see the golden energy. It can enter me, get me to feeling full. Forget my enemies, dead to me, yeah, I proceed to go to a new dimension. Gotta mention it's inside our soul. Go inside, fuck the outside. Never tell lies, show pride for belief. Gotta keep the range wide, so instead I just write another hit. Getting fried, rolling up, smoke another blunt for the good times. Good times, bad times makes for the good rhyme. So it never matters, I just learned, no I can't hide. Thank God for every second was birthed with the mind of an ancient soul who's just waiting for the next sign. I'm always watching, vision like a hawk, have them flocking. When I drop it, talking, have them knocking. The knowledge that I'm dropping, coming out the noggin, I'm logged in. That's the intuition, nothing wrong with doing what you feel is right. Everybody got this. Usually feel it in the night when I'm dropping knowledge. I never even needed any college, abolish. People telling people what they want, I do not wish control over anybody, do it for the profit. That's the reason that they push it, do it from the cockpit. Cause they got the money, want the money on the mob shit. On the mob shit, but I know they ain't gon' make it, shit is poppin'. At the end of time, new age topics. Revolutionary crusade crossing, we go to a new space. Yeah, we enter in a new place. Louis V on my shoelace, rolling with the blue face. Yeah, I'm wondering what you chase. Just another dude caught up in the rat race. Moving my pace, lot of people looking at me sideways. I chase future preparations, gotta go through my phase till I'm ready to rearrange it. Happen on a daily basis, tripping oasis. When so many people that I can see through their faces and touch, so I'm reading minds, feel like I'm evasive, persuasive. Cause I feel the vibe manipulation, I'm patient. Yeah, I feel the vibe, then work to change it. Manifestation, blessings is what I'm chasing. Quantum physics, I'm about to take the time and rearrange it. I play with reality, can't feel like I'm basic. Most people shut it down, don't wanna embrace it. Replacing knowledge.